Before every great comeback, there is a moment when life feels like it's falling apart. Not breaking, but rearranging. You don't notice it at first. You just feel the confusion, the exhaustion, the quiet pressure building inside you like a storm that refuses to pass. And you start asking yourself, why now? Why me? Why is everything collapsing at once? But here's the truth most people never hear. Life does not collapse when you're failing. Life collapses when you're being rebuilt. Carl Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Because once you start seeing who you truly are, your old world cannot survive that level of honesty. So when things feel heavy, when people walk away, when opportunities close, when your identity starts dissolving, you are not being punished. You are being upgraded. This is the part no one talks about. Every comeback has a silent beginning, a hidden turning point, a moment where the universe pulls you aside and says, this version of you can't go where you're going next. So it strips away everything that kept you small, your old habits, your old fears, your old relationships, your old beliefs about who you were allowed to be. And that stripping feels like loss, but it's preparation. Think about it. Every great transformation in your life began with something ending. A breakup, a failure, a disappointment, a rejection that shattered your confidence. A moment where you whispered, I don't know what comes next, but I know I can't stay the same. That's the comeback, not the applause, not the success, not the moment you rise, but the moment you decide you're done shrinking. This video is not about motivation, it's about recognition, because there are clear psychological signs that appear right before your life makes its largest leap forward. Signs that your subconscious mind is slowly turning away from the person you've been and preparing you for the person you're becoming. Signs that your energy is shifting, your awareness is sharpening, your spirit is waking back up after being numb for years. If you're watching this, it's not an accident. People don't stumble onto videos like these. They arrive when their soul is tired of waiting. You feel the pressure because you're not meant for an average life. You feel the discomfort because you're outgrowing your old identity. You feel the chaos because rebirth is never quiet. And over the next few minutes, I want to show you the 8 powerful signs that reveal your comeback has already started. The signs that your breakdown was actually a breakthrough. The signs that your silence was actually healing in disguise. The signs that your isolation was preparation, and your pain was pointing you toward your next evolution. So take a deep breath. Sit with me for a moment. Listen closely. Because once you understand these signs, you will never look at your struggle the same way again. Your comeback isn't coming. It has already begun. Let's begin. 1. You feel an unexplainable restlessness. Something inside you refuses to sit still. Your old life doesn't fit. Your old habits feel tight. Your old conversations leave you empty. You're no longer comfortable in the spaces you once settled for, but you're not fully sure where you're going either. This restlessness isn't chaos. It's direction disguised as discomfort, a psychological push, a soul-level nudge. Ask yourself, what part of me is trying to move forward while I'm still holding the brakes? Sometimes the soul knows long before the mind understands. 2. You're losing interest in old patterns, old people, old versions of yourself. Suddenly the things that used to excite you don't. The things you used to tolerate, you can't. The people you used to impress, you now find draining. It's not that you've changed randomly. It's that your old identity is dissolving. This is emotional evolution. This is boundary realignment. This is psychological detox. You're not losing interest. You're outgrowing a frequency you've stayed in for too long. Marcus Aurelius once said, what stands in the way becomes the way. And now, anything that blocks your growth becomes impossible to ignore. 3. You're experiencing a deep internal silence. Not the silence of emptiness, the silence of preparation. You're quieter around people, more selective with your energy, more observant, less reactive. This silence is not withdrawal, it's strategy. It's your inner world reorganizing itself. You're learning to sit with your thoughts instead of running from them. You're learning to hold your emotions instead of spilling them everywhere. This silence signals emotional mastery. Your inner kingdom is being rebuilt, brick by brick, and you're finally noticing the architecture of your mind. 4. You're becoming more honest with yourself. Brutally honest. Sometimes uncomfortably honest. You're facing truths you ignored for years. Truths about your patterns, your trauma, your desires, your self-sabotage. You no longer sugarcoat your weaknesses. You no longer hide your needs. You no longer pretend you're fine when you're not. This honesty isn't weakness. It's your awakening, because the comeback requires clarity, and clarity requires courage. Nietzsche once wrote, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." Your chaos is speaking now, not to destroy you, but to transform you. 5. You start noticing synchronicities and subtle signs. The right message shows up at the right moment. A conversation hits differently. A stranger says exactly what you needed to hear. An old opportunity reappears. You keep seeing the same numbers, symbols, or patterns. You think it's coincidence, but deep down you know it's not. Your intuition is waking up. Your perception is sharpening. You're aligning with something bigger than yourself. Life is moving pieces you can't see yet. 6. You're letting go faster than before. You're no longer fighting for things that drain you. You're no longer chasing what's not choosing you. You're no longer holding on to people who keep showing you they can't stay. Letting go used to feel like loss. Now it feels like liberation. This is a psychological shift, a rebalancing of power, a reclaiming of your emotional sovereignty. You're finally understanding that attachment isn't love, and that clinging doesn't create connection. It destroys it. You release with grace now, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself more. And that shift, that quiet revolution inside you, it's one of the strongest signs that a comeback is forming. 7. You're becoming more protective of your inner energy. You choose solitude over noise, depth over entertainment, truth over convenience. You're noticing how different people affect your state of mind, how certain environments drain you, how some conversations leave you feeling smaller. This is emotional intelligence sharpening itself, a higher self emerging, an intuitive boundary forming. You're no longer giving unlimited access to people who haven't earned it. You speak less, observe more, and guard your energy with intention. You're not becoming colder. You're becoming clearer. You're not becoming distant. You're becoming discerning. Carl Jung taught that the world will ask you who you are. And if you don't know, it will tell you. You're finally choosing to define yourself first. 8. You're starting to feel a quiet inner strength rising. Not loud, not dramatic, not forceful, just a steady, grounded, undeniable power. You're thinking differently, walking differently, responding differently. You're no longer controlled by fear. You're no longer worried about approval. You're no longer consumed by what might go wrong. There's a calmness in you now, a steadiness you didn't have before, a subtle but real confidence. This is the birth of your new identity, a self that is more conscious, more aligned, more whole. You're stepping into a version of yourself that no longer reacts, but chooses. No longer chases, but attracts. No longer doubts, but decides. This inner strength is the strongest sign of all. You're not breaking down. You're powering up, quietly, intentionally, unstoppably. You may not see it clearly yet. You may still feel tired, uncertain, or in between versions of yourself. But look closely at your life. Feel what's happening beneath the surface. Every uncomfortable shift, every silent transformation, every inner awakening. It's all pointing in one direction. You are not falling apart. You are realigning. You are rebuilding. You are rising. The biggest comebacks don't begin with applause. They begin with self-awareness, with honesty, with quiet courage. They begin exactly where you are standing right now. Remember Jung's truth. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And you are awakening, slowly, powerfully, irreversibly. So whenever doubt visits, whenever fear whispers, whenever your past tries to pull you back, remind yourself, this is not the end of your story. This is the reconstruction phase. This is the doorway to the version of you that life has been preparing all along. Your comeback is not coming. Your comeback has already begun. If this message spoke to something deep in you, if it made you pause, feel, or see yourself differently, subscribe for more deep, transformative storytelling. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And remember to like and comment, not just for the algorithm, but to anchor this truth into your own journey. You are rising, and this time, you will not be the same.